What is best in life? To crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentation of their women.
All right. What is it? Is it Sunday night? It's actually Sunday night. It's Sunday night. That means it must be the Radio Baloney Live for Sunday night. I'm your host, Richie Baloney. How's everybody doing out there? I just saw in the chat, we got Trudeau Survivor Rosie in the chat already. Good to see you guys. I just saw Rosie says, got the Octagon on, UFC. Husband does, pretty impressive. Jets fly over during the national anthem, was the perfect timing. But you know what? I completely forgot about it. And actually, we might not have that big of a crowd tonight if that's on. Is it on? It's on. Is it on YouTube or Prime or something? I think it is. Yeah, it's one of those. I don't know. Anyway, I completely forgot. I was out looking for a new car all day, and I completely forgot. In the heat, in the insane heat, in the heat wave. Basically melting. So I'm melting my brain. So yeah, I completely forgot. So hopefully lots of people show up and watch that. But if people want to watch that, I mean, I would like to watch it too, but we can't skip any more live streams. Dramus, how you doing? All right. Maybe we'll catch the end because we don't have that much for tonight. I think we might be a couple hours, so maybe we catch the end of it. Let's see. Let's go to the menu first, very quickly, see what we're going to be talking about tonight, and then we'll go back to the chat, which we always enjoy doing. We'll dole out all that Radio Baloney good karma for those people who get in early for their likes. Then we'll come back and do the stories in full. It'll be crazy. Let's see. So I got this story here about Portland. We like to check in on Portland, woke Portland every once in a while, just to see how crazy it is. And here's a story about some crazy commie dingbat who inherited a house from her mother and then just let a bunch of homeless people camp on the property, and they're terrorizing the neighbors, starting fires. And then I just went down the rabbit hole and got a bunch of stuff together about Portland, and there's some developments there. We'll take a look at that. Here's Liz Truss talking about what we have all been talking about. Like, it's not incompetence, like the mass immigration, for instance. It's not that they just didn't think about it. It's that it's part of the plan. It can't be happening in every Western nation all at the same time. Mass immigration, just massive surges in immigration from the third world. It can't be it can't be happening in every Western country by coincidence. Obviously, there's a plan. Anyway, here's Liz Truss talking about that, and this is against the backdrop of major civil strife in the UK, major problems. So I think it's worth listening to. Or Elon Musk, the left just hates him so much, and I just find it so. They reveal so much of themselves and how unprincipled they are. The modern left, the radical progressives, with their rhetoric about people like Elon Musk, who they should actually like. In any case, we'll talk about that. We've got EU. So Sweden is dumping The term Islamophobia, the, irrational fear of Islam. So Sweden's dumping that. It's not as good as it sounds, and I'll explain to you why. Justin Trudeau, uber patriot Justin Trudeau. There he is with his girlfriend, Katy Perry, who I can't wait for the tell-all book to come out once she realizes what she's attached herself to. That'll be fun, because this ain't going to last forever. But here he is celebrating at the USA soccer game, which is fine. And I'm going to cheer for Team USA. But at the same time, there was a Canadian game happening on Canadian soil. And Justin Trudeau chose to go to the well, wait a second. I thought that he didn't like the U.S. and everything, Maple MAGA and all of that, but he chose to go to the USA game? Huh. If you're going to promote former prime minister for a decade. A lot of anti-American rhetoric out of Justin Trudeau, and, I guess he didn't mean it. It turns out. It was all bullshit from a dark triad maniac. All right. What's going on here? Marco Rubio not holding back on Islam at all. We'll hear he's talking to, what's his name there? Sean Hannity, telling it like it is. Here's Trump talking about how he doesn't care about money. He's going to be rich. He doesn't care if he loses money. And because he has a purpose, a higher purpose than that now. And I'm sure he doesn't want to not be rich. Don't get me wrong on this, but he could have had a much easier life and made way more money had he never gone down that escalator. Here we have, I guess, Canadians trying to debunk the myth that we're this super friendly nation by booing the Americans, which is just embarrassing, I have to say. Let's see. What do we got here? Brandon Gill. We like Brandon Gill. He just went nuclear on Elon Omar. I wonder what happened there. That'll be exciting to find out. And what I got? And here's the last bookmark of the evening. It's just a bunch of crazy stuff that you guys sent in. Some of this I picked myself, but most of it's stuff that you guys sent in. There's a lot of palate cleansers in here, stuff that just kind of nice stories after all the terrible news that we saw. Some of this stuff is pretty funny. There's a bit of news in here. There's some Bill Maher. And that's how we like to end off the show with that stuff, because it's fun. I would like to say to anybody watching over on YouTube right now, please go to my second channel. I've had it for about 9 months now, Radio Baloney News. That's where all of the clip videos go now. The channel you're watching right now is the original Radio Baloney channel. This is only for live streams. Anything else is going to go on Radio Baloney News. Please go and subscribe to that channel. The algorithm is not going to help me out. The algorithm doesn't want you to subscribe to it. Just think about that for a second. Just think about that. The algorithm doesn't want you to know about this channel. It doesn't want you to know. It wants to gatekeep you. Just think about that. Are you going to let the algorithm win? I wouldn't. We're trying to save the world here, folks. All right. And the sanding show. So let's go back to the chat, shall we? All right, so what's going on? Let's see. So, Trudeau Survivor. Well, first off, let's just say that we're streaming live on Rumble, YouTube, X, and Locals. Now, anytime that you like the stream, or give me money, or subscribe to the channel, you're getting free good karma from the channel. The good karma that I build up this inner reservoir of good karma when I'm preparing for the show to do all of my good works. And I can't keep it because that would be bad karma. That would be selfish. It would be bad karma. So I've got to distribute it. It's one of the most beautiful things that we do on this channel. So I'm going to give out some good karma right now. And when you get in early, you don't just get one good karma. You get more than that. Depends on the day, but you get extra good karma. Trudeau Survivor got the first like. On Rumble, it looks like, and that would call for 6 good karmas. 6 good karmas? Holy. That's got to last like at least a few days. Rosie's number 2. That's 5 good karmas for Rosie. Boom. How you doing, Rosie? Dramus got 3 good karmas. 3 good karmas for well, that's 3, so that's 4 good karmas for Dramus. Boom. I'm not sure why I say boom. I guess it makes it more exciting. Let's say Paramount Plus. Paramount, that's where the UFC thing at the White House is tonight, I guess. So I guess we're gonna miss it. Oh well. Can't skip any more streams. Let's see. Maybe we'll catch the end. Trudeau Survivor asks, what kind of Chinese spy car are you shopping for? Well, I'm looking for one of those exploding Chinese spy cars. I want one of the ones that locks you inside and then lights itself on fire and incinerates you, because that's an actual thing. And I've shown you in videos before. That's an actual thing with these cars. No Chinese spy cars for Richie. Let's see. Hope whatever car it has dog alert and avoidance. Fuck you. Fuck you. How dare you? How dare you? Good Lord. Izzy late got like number 3. Well, somebody else claimed like number 3. Dramus did. Well, let's give you like number 4. So that would be 3 good karmas. Wow. You can sleep easy tonight, my friend. All that good karma. In these troubled times, how could anybody turn their back on some free good karma? Danny, how you doing? Like number 5. So what's that? Is that 2 good karma? 2 good karmas. That's still really good. Wow. Things are going to go well for you, my friend. Izzy says, evening all, I'm half distracted by a rumbly tummy and work. Rumbly tummy. That's at TMI, I believe the children said TMI. But good luck with that. Have some Pepto-Bismol. And something really wonderful has happened here. I woke up this morning. I had no idea this was going to happen. Something of this magnitude. Something this fantastic. Rosie has gifted a subscription to Radio Baloney over on Rumble. And that is the best thing anybody can do for the channel, by the way. What a beautiful gesture. It's not even Christmas. Thank you so much, Rosie. And this means, of course, what this means is that Rosie is the best person ever. Now, I'm not saying there haven't been great people in history. There have been. Obviously, there's been great people in history. People have their heroes, their historical heroes, and whatnot. You know what? They're all great. Stick with them. All I'm saying is that compared to Rosie, they're all dog shit. But that's just compared to Rosie. Rosie has gifted a membership to Radio Baloney on Rumble. So, therefore, everybody knows, best person ever. That is the best thing anybody's ever done. And appealing to my greed is obviously, people know that works. I reward richly for appealing to my greed. And it is seriously, though, the best thing anybody can do for the channel. Thank you so much, Rosie. Let's move on down. Standing on the word over on YouTube. Good to see you. All right. So Izzy got that gifted membership. So that means Izzy can watch the Rumble Premium only stream tomorrow. Very exclusive, very exclusive. Need to either be a premium member on Rumble or a channel member exclusively on Rumble. Let's see. What do we got? Let's see. Rosie says, from FU to best person ever. All you have to do is appeal to my grade. It's that easy. All right, let's just get to the story, shall we? So what are we dealing with first? I came across this. Andy No posted this. We're just here to have fun. That's a quote. We're just here to have fun. Well, where's that quote from? Let's see. Let's take a look at this news story from Portland, Oregon.
In this Southeast Portland neighborhood, one house divides the community.
I mean, our quality of life here is pretty low.
Tamala Cantor's neighbors have been inviting homeless people to stay for well over a year now.
So that's the main concern, is the camping.
It's forced at least one neighbor to move, she says.
It's incredibly dangerous with the dangerous dogs that they have that have broken through our fences and attacked our dogs on either side.
Nick and Aubrey are among the 10 people currently living on the property off Southeast Harney Street and 29th Avenue that's overflowing with garbage and old vehicles.
My friend's mom's house, basically.
We're just living here in peace. We just want to be left alone.
They put a tent in the front yard and say they have plans to make room for even more of their homeless friends.
We're just here to have fun, you know.
Neighbors tell KGW they've called the city of Portland asking for help more than a dozen times and get no response.
Last night there was a giant party. It was till 2:30 in the morning.
Tamala called police. They never showed.
That makes me feel unsafe too, that we don't get a response from the police when we ask for it.
There's a lot of people in the house, too many to fit in the house. And
Hannah also lives next door.
they have been burning garbage, which has been setting fire alarms off in my house in the middle of the night.
She spent $2,500 on a new fence for safety reasons, she says.
To keep the dogs out.
You know, as a taxpayer in this city, I really feel like our quality of life should be a lot better.
A spokesperson for Portland's Permitting and Development tells me there is an open nuisance case on the property, and they have told the property owner to remove trash and debris. The city inspected the property on February 2nd, looking for illegal camping, but says there were no tents there during that inspection. But the tents are there now.
So I guess this is equity, right? Which means just everything is terrible for everybody. Now, Portland did elect a new mayor, a moderate mayor, apparently, a Democrat, a businessman, and I guess, and this was because of, and this is because people had gotten sick of, well, the well-documented constant lawlessness and just anarchy and homelessness and open-air drug use and everything, all very well-documented stuff over the last half a decade anyway. So they elected a new mayor. Now, I know in 2020 they had a openly communist woman running for it. She did not win then. This guy won in 2024. He's supposed to be a moderate Democrat. He's a businessman. I think there's mixed results so far, I think we can say. But let's take a look here. Wilson, the CEO of a trucking company and founder of a nonprofit working to increase homeless shelter capacity, ran on an ambitious pledge to end unsheltered homelessness within a year of taking office. That hasn't happened. The Portland native says he will accomplish this in part by increasing the number of nighttime walk-in emergency shelters in existing facilities such as churches and community centers. The problem you run into, tragically, is there's a lot of people who just don't want to be in a shelter. They just want to be outside, and that's in any city, anywhere. Let's see. His message appears to have resonated in a city where surveys conducted over the past few years have shown that residents view homelessness as a top issue, but not important enough to just maybe try the other party. Just see how that might work out. Maybe it wouldn't work out at all, but just electing Democrats over and over again, it seems like the definition of insanity to me. Quote, "It's time to end unsheltered homelessness and open drug use." We'll get to the open drug use in a minute. "And it's time to restore public safety in Portland," he said in his acceptance speech Thursday, speaking at a community center in North Portland that has also served as an emergency overnight shelter during extreme cold and heat waves. Voters aren't interested in pointing fingers. They just want to get things done. Well, for these people forced to suffer this, it's not getting done for them. So, there's not been total progress made yet, obviously. But let's take a look. What do we have here? So, yes, they had increasing problems up until 2020. This is from 2002 to 2021. So you can see the homicide rate, and you can see it starts to go up sharply here around 2019, 2020, 2021. Apparently, crime has come down a bit since this new mayor, Keith Wilson, has been in a little bit. It doesn't seem like it's enough. But again, it's kind of a mixed bag. It's not like there's no progress, but if you're kind of, the equity-based ideology, you're not ever really going to be able to fix the problem because you're not going to be able to deal with things on, in a reality-based way. Downtown Portland sees open-air drug market resurgence after return of can redemption. So this is from March 13th, 2025. So they had a resurgence. Now, apparently since then, it has gone down again a little bit, but it's causing other problems. So a drug market moves into a home-forward apartment building. Reporting by WW over the past 2 months shows how the housing agency failed to keep a nearby drug market from setting up shop in the hallways outside Gary Opal's apartment door. You can imagine how much it sucks. Let's see. He felt like a lucky man when he first moved into the Dawson Park apartments in 2007. I was like, damn, I lucked out. Look out my window, says Opal 62, pulling back gauzy blue shades. A beautiful park. Not so beautiful anymore. Let's see. Opal describes people smoking from crack pipes on the steps outside his window and dealers sitting in cars handing out baggies all day. He's been assaulted 4 times, he said, and followed when he told drug dealers to go away. He said a number of his neighbors deal drugs and that one day while recovering from surgery and with little else to do, he counted 122 visitors on his floor of fewer than 20 units. He says, I've been assaulted 4 times, hit by a metal pipe, punched in the face, thrown against the mailboxes. I can't fight back. I'm 62 years old. Help us. So down here, it says the Portland Police Bureau has another suggestion why drugs have moved into the apartments. So the Portland Police Bureau has a suggestion why drugs moved into the apartments. Quote, increased pressure on open-air drug dealing, quote, increased pressure on open-air drug dealing across Portland has resulted in some activity moving into more secure or less visible locations, including housing units. So it's once you let it get really bad as they let it get, it's just, it's pop goes the weasel at that point, right? So you just end up with a massive mess. And yeah, so it sounds like they're dealing with the open air drug dealing, open air drug use to some extent, and it's just moving into other places and making different people's lives awful. And of course, you've got the Antifa activity still, right? So this is May 9th, 2026. Antifa swarms public property like they own it. Ground Zero PDX-1 shows up at the Portland ICE facility for just a few minutes and gets instantly mobbed. He starts walking away to de-escalate, and they still chase him. Harassment in broad daylight. So here's an independent journalist here going to document, and of course, they don't like that. When is this from? May 1st, 2026. This is at the ICE facility. Starts throwing rocks, screaming, and chasing her down the railroad tracks. You can hear the fear in her voice as she yells, help, I'm a journalist and in serious danger. That's Katie Daviscourt. So it seems like they're still pretty much just running the town. What's this? May 1st, 2026. Antifa turns on Ryan Amateur, shining flashlights in his face, calling him names and getting aggressive. Black Bloc Punk invades his space. So this doesn't seem to have gone down very much, right? Here's from March, more Antifa, the ICE facility. So I'm afraid if you really want to make progress, not just around the margins, but really clean, you've got to stop electing Democrats. You know, it's like in Canada. If we want to get Canada back on track again, we want to keep Canada going off an economic cliff. Well, it's already halfway off the cliff. But you're just going to have to stop voting for the same people, right? We're going to have to stop voting for the Liberal Party of Canada. Anywhere that you are in the world, progressives will continue with this. The results won't matter, right? The consequences of the policy won't matter. The answer is always just more progressive, or I guess maybe in this case, slightly less progressive, and it won't be enough. So here you have supposedly moderate Democrat and a little bit of progress around the margins, but not really. Not really. Doesn't seem to be much better. And it's certainly not helping out the poor
homeless
people.
friend.
It's certainly not helping the poor people in this neighborhood very much, is it? Again, because look, if you're a Democrat, if you're in the Liberal Party in Canada, if you're Labour in the UK or Green, you're working off the equity playbook. That's what you have to do, right? It's like an article of faith. You must do that. So that will prevent you from ever confronting reality and ever doing anything actually effective, because it might make somebody feel bad. That's it. All right. So let's get rid of these tabs. We don't need these anymore. We'll go back to the chat for a minute. And then we're going to get to the UK. But first, we're going to go to, let's see. Dead Sea Monster says, that sweater is working. Are you talking about the special official sanding sweater or shirt? I think you're talking about that. Let's see. What do we got going on? Izzy says, sounds like a zoning issue to me. Well, are you talking about all the person who moved all the homeless people onto their property? Yeah. Rosie says, I have a hard time telling the men from the women anymore. I already have face blindness. But really, it's getting to that point. Rosie, it really is. Izzy says, yeah, gender ambiguous was a joke. Now it's reality. I think you're right. And it seems intentional, Rosie says. I don't disagree. Izzy says, gotta love hockey stick violence trend graphs. Yeah. Well, that's a clear sign you're doing something wrong. Izzy says, wow, what a shithole. And then only thing worse than being Canada is being California. Well, yeah, Portland is in Oregon. And I mean, like, Oregon is a beautiful state, and Portland was a very beautiful city. And I imagine there's parts of it that are still really nice, the parts that Antifa doesn't go to, but probably those areas are shrinking and shrinking, right? And it's very different from like Eastern Oregon too, who there's been a political movement in Eastern Oregon to just split off from Portland because they just are sick of having their money wasted by the state government in Portland, who doesn't care about them. All right. Let me hold on one second. All right, let's get on to the next thing. So here is Liz Truss. She was Prime Minister of the UK. Liz Truss was Prime Minister of the UK, not for very long. She was forced out by the, I guess, really the British deep state, the globalists of the bureaucracy in the UK. She warned us about Mark Carney, by the way. that he was going to be a terrible prime minister. And she was right, by the way. For some reason, the CBC never talked to her. Weird. Almost like they wanted Mark Carney to win so he could give them lots of money. Jim Ferguson, UK, posted this. Liz Truss is saying that the insanity of mass immigration is not incompetence. It is a plan. And look, we've seen it all across the Western world, like every Western European country, in the United States, in Canada, Australia. We've seen this mass immigration, the leftist parties, even in the UK, even the Conservative Party, just flooding these countries, flooding our countries with mass immigration. And they're all doing it at the same time. And it's not a coincidence. It can't be a coincidence. It sure looks like a plan, doesn't it? But let's hear Liz Truss here.
You would agree that this leftist experiment in multiculturalism has failed, not only in the UK, but here in America. It's failed in the West.
Well, we're seeing the same thing in America that we're seeing in Britain. We're seeing left-wing politicians wanting to encourage immigration to essentially undermine the basis of our society and undermine the basis of Western civilization. People who don't support our values. And that is what they want to achieve. They want to undermine the family. They want to undermine the nation state. Yeah. They want open borders. They want progressive ideology like transgender ideology. And people in Britain are saying, we've had enough of this. We want to hear the truth about what's happening in our country. And the reaction by Keir Starmer is to arrest those people and put them in jail. And that's what we've seen.
Yeah,
and that
suppress
is
them
appalling. It's completely against what our country stands for.
You would agree that this leftist experience.
Yeah, it's a plan, and they're desperately fighting for it. You see it in every Western country, and whether it's through legal immigration, like in Canada, or like in the UK, which is mostly legal. They've had in the UK they have the boat crossers, but that's actually a fairly small portion. Still a lot of people, but it's a small portion of the total immigration. In the United States with Biden, it was through illegal immigration, or trying to make illegal immigration legally, or trying to make with Biden, we saw at least 10 million people. Some people think it's like 20 million people during his term enter illegally, but then trying to make it sound as if it was legal, but illegal immigration. So whether it's illegal or legal, there's just been this rush from the leftists to jam as many people in. And obviously, I think one reason for this is to create a permanent underclass that will be forever dependent on the government, intentionally so, dependent on the government, and then we'll vote for the people who are signing the checks and sending the money out. I mean, that's one big reason. And when you hear leftist politicians talk about especially in the United States, and Joe Biden himself talking about the shrinking percentage of the population that is white people, they are very thrilled about this. They present this as a wonderful thing, and they've said this is a great thing, right? By 2050, a minority of Americans will be white. And they talk about it as if it's a very, and they say things like this. They use these predictions, and they say this is a wonderful thing. And then when you say, well, it sounds like you want to replace, they go, that's racist. Well, but that's literally exactly what you're talking about. Weird. Orwellian doublethink. But yeah, Liz Truss is right. And if only Canadians had listened to her, if only Canadians had heard her. Jim Ferguson posted this as well. It says the public isn't buying it anymore. Let's take a look.
50 million Muslims now live in Europe. At the turn of the century, that number was less than 500,000, and more are arriving every day. As the people who...
So in 2000, it was less than 500,000. Now, 46 million. 46 million. Good Lord.
Lead these countries try to do what Joe Biden tried to do here, and that is fundamentally change the racial and ethnic makeup of a nation and make white Christians a minority in their own country. In England alone, right now, 10 major cities, including London, now have Muslim mayors in a nation that was built around the Church of England. Muslims are now running major cities across the country for the first time in history, and the English want us to believe that this is all normal.
The Muslim will come out and he will stand for truth and he will stand for justice. May Allah give us the ability to stand for the haqq.
So this is not the Middle East. It's not East Minneapolis even. That is England. And when you see images like that, you can't help but ask why anyone, a prime minister or a president or a king, would deliberately try to destroy their own country. Why would you do that? Why is this being done? And because European leaders still celebrate our failed experiment.
Well, first off, it's for the permanent voting bloc, but I think that what's more likely to happen, and it's already happening in the UK, is that they just form their own bloc. So you've now got Islamic parties in the UK. So they will vote for Labour or the Greens for a while until they're powerful enough to just form their own political bloc with their own party promoting things like Sharia law, right? I think for the politicians doing it, it's very short-sighted for the reason I just cited. But also, I think they look at China with lust. I think somebody like Mark Carney or Keir Starmer drools when they look at China because it's not a communist country anymore, right? It's a communist party of China, but it's not really a communist party anymore. It's got capitalism now. Capitalism with Chinese characteristics, they call it. And what does that mean? That means any company with a certain number of employees has to have a Chinese Communist Party office in their headquarters. So it's this merger, this kind of fascistic merger between the government and the capitalism, right? So it's more like a neo-fascism, really, with the totalitarianism, obviously, on top of that. So total state control, right? But you've still got capitalism. So there's still wealth being created. Of course, the regular people, the Chinese citizens aren't going to have the access to that wealth that they would in a liberal democracy. Quality of life in China is, I think, about a third. Or GDP per capita is about a third or about a quarter of what it is in the United States, for instance. But I think that's the goal. I think somebody like Mark Carney loves that. He looks at that and just drools. Like, oh, if we could only do that in Canada. Total control, but you've still got something like capitalism, but there's a lot of central planning involved. It's very government controlled as well, which for a technocrat, that's like a dream come true. So I think that's the ultimate goal, but let's continue.
In open borders, it failed here in the United States. And because they've chosen to stand with radical Muslims over their own people, it's because of all of these reasons, these countries are falling apart and failing as the attack on Western civilization continues. In November 2015, 130 people were killed in Paris, France, when ISIS terrorists carried out multiple attacks in one day, targeting crowded restaurants, cafes, and large crowds. The French did nothing to close their borders. In March 2016, 32 people were killed at an airport in Belgium after an ISIS terrorist attack. They did nothing to secure their borders. In July 2016, 86 people were killed when ISIS terrorists ran down a Bastille Day crowd again in France, and they did nothing to close the border.
Yeah, but that would have been Islamophobia, an irrational fear of Islam.
The border stayed open after the 2017 London Bridge attack and the 2017 Manchester suicide bombing and the 2024 Christmas market attack in Germany. None of this was enough to stop or even slow the flow of radical Muslims into Western Europe. According to the European Union Terrorism Report, Europe had 58 terrorist attacks in 2024 alone, and no elected official in Europe has done anything to address this problem. Think about that. 58 terrorist attacks almost exclusively by radical Islamic terrorists.
Yeah, and in Canada too. Look, you've got, like, Jews are leaving Canada. Gad Saad is leaving Canada now for his own safety, right? If you think that bodes well for Canada, you're out of your damn mind, all right? So the backdrop for Liz Truss's statement here is this. Here's the UK, right? United Kingdom, Liverpool is happening. Hundreds of thousands of Brits demand mass deportations and the resignation of Prime Minister Keir Starmer. Of course, you've got what happened in Belfast. You just had the Unite the Kingdom rally, a couple of months ago, a month or so ago, in London, where had hundreds of thousands of people. How about this? Jim Ferguson, this is from Jim Ferguson as well, a former spy chief from MI6. What does he have to say? Maybe this will be concerning.
I say she's the most dangerous woman in Britain. What say you?
Well, I would say that, she's failing the nation very badly indeed. National security and defence is the first priority of the government. I can't understand why the Prime Minister, I can understand why the Prime Minister hasn't had the courage to overrule her. They've clearly chosen welfare over the safety of the nation. And I think it's quite outrageous. I'm really desperately worried, and I'm sure I'll be speaking for millions of people who will feel the same way. This is a world that I know reasonably well, obviously, from my past career.
Indeed.
And, all that Starmer now says in an interview, he's taken hard-edged decisions. I mean, we can't now believe a word he said in the past about increasing the defence budget. And even this biggest increase since the end of the Cold War that he keeps mentioning, isn't really what it appears to be, because they bumped up the defence budget by putting in military pensions, by actually including the SIV, that's the single intelligence vote, putting it into the defence budget. So the Treasury's been mucking around with the figures to make them look better. And, we're being deceived. Meanwhile, sensible countries like Finland, Sweden, we need to look in their direction. These are countries with big welfare programs, social democracies, etc., but they are spending money on defense, and we should be aiming the trouble is, 18 billion is only just enough. We should be aiming for 3% of GDP, which is even more. It's absolutely imperative that a government prioritizes this right at the top of everything else. And, we'll all have to pay a cost. We'll have to pay a cost in having other budgets cut. But, we clearly have got a work-shy population. Someone told me this morning that welfare benefits claimants are going up by 5,000 a day. I don't know whether that figure is true or not.
Sounds about right.
It's just catastrophic. And meanwhile, we're facing the most uncertain circumstances geopolitically that we've faced for many, many years.
See, the problem is that you can't have a welfare state, you can't have a welfare system and open borders, because it just acts as a magnet. Pardon me. It just acts as a magnet. The next thing you know, you can't even afford to defend your own country because you're just spending everything on your welfare programs. I mean, this is something that countries used to understand. Brittany says is being governed by a bunch of students who fail to grasp the dangers of the real world. Well, let's find that part.
And your successors in our intelligence services, what must they be thinking about this? I'm assuming that, you know, the people doing your job now, both in MI5 and MI6, they must be telling the Prime Minister, hey, you got to step up to the plate. These are very turbulent times. The world is probably in its most perilous state since the Second World War. And what are we doing? We're spending all our money on welfare, schools and hospitals, as they say, welfare over warfare. That seems to be our approach. This is suicidal, isn't it?
Well, it's very, very silly. It's very dangerous. You know, my successor or successors, heads of the intelligence and security agencies, don't make policy, but they do collect the intelligence, which, as it were, backs up the assessment which is made, you know, in central government. We know very clearly what the assessment is, that there is an increased danger, an increased threat of warfare in Europe. We've got a major war going on the European continent, which is, you know, unprecedented in our recent, well, in recent times. Russia are conducting grey warfare across the continent already and probing the UK's defences. Do they need more indication? Do they need more proof of the seriousness of the situation than we've got already? I think it's probably very frustrating for the people in the intelligence community who are probably in some circumstances almost risking their lives to collect the intelligence to tell us that the country's in danger, and then the government isn't doing what it should do to confront the problem.
Indeed. Now, what I think we've got in terms of this cabinet, and certainly in terms of vast ranks of the Labour backbenchers, left-wing lunatics that they are, we have a government, we have a governing party that puts ideology above the harsh realities of running a country. And that's what they're all saying today. Oh, that bloke, Healy, he's asking us to spend more money on defence at the cost of the poor hospitals and schools. What about hospitals and schools? Look, hospitals and schools, welfare, if you like, they're all very important, but nothing, particularly right now, is more important than defence. Why can't they get that through their thick heads?
I don't know. I think we're being governed. Well, the heavyweights in the government, like Healy, who I admire, has walked away. Al Cairns has walked away. They understand the problem. They've resigned on a point of principle. And, I sometimes think we're being governed by a bunch of students who don't really understand the state of the world. It's crazy. What has to happen to persuade them? If you start...
There's nothing that can be done to persuade them, right? Because they have to do what feels progressive. It's our whole identity, right? Reality does not matter. I've said it a million times. I'm going to say it one more time. So here's 1,000,001 times. They're not trying to fit their ideology into the world. They're trying to fit the world into their ideology, and they're perfectly happy to break the world and everybody in it, right, for that outcome. They don't care about, they don't care about outcomes like actual human well-being, right? They care about things feeling like it's progressive. And if it doesn't feel like it's progressive, you can't do it. This is why the solution is, this is why the solution to the problems caused by things like mass immigration is always just more left-wing. Well, it needs to be more left-wing. It wasn't left-wing enough before, so it needs to be more left-wing now. That is always the solution. It just, we didn't go far left enough. And that's why they can't, it's impossible. You just have to remove them from your government. Right? And we're seeing, and even like the traditional parties are generally traditional conservative parties, unless they have a reformation like it's happened in the United States, they're useless too. Look at the UK. The Conservatives were in power for, I think, 14 uninterrupted years? Completely betrayed their voters. They were even worse than Labour. Right? So what are we seeing in the UK now? Well, you've got the rise of Reform, the rise of Restore as well. Conservative Party is basically devastated at this point. It's been decimated. Same thing with Labour as well. right? So you're witnessing a political reformation in the UK right now. You're about to see the same thing in countries like Germany with the AfD. What do we have here? June 13th, Ben Habib. Rage and disgust are inevitable. Rage and disgust are inevitable when the political class refuses to protect the country. And this is what has been happening in the UK for decades now. Started with Blairism, started with Blair, and it hasn't stopped, even with 14 years. I believe it was 14 years of uninterrupted conservative government. Just the same thing. The people were completely and utterly betrayed. Immigration was actually worse under the Conservatives, which is why you see them being decimated as a party now, and the rise of Reform, and I think Restore as well. Let's watch this.
Following Southampton and the egregious murder of Henry Novak, and of course Northern Ireland, Belfast on Monday, we've had obfuscation, hand-wringing and thoughts and prayers from the Prime Minister. Nothing to see here, Keir. Well, I took a call earlier from one of our listeners, Ben, and I asked what his emotions were about the direction of the country. And the two words he used were rage and disgust. Now, we can both condemn violence and breaking the law, but is rage and disgust not just acceptable, but perhaps necessary?
Well, it's inevitable. It's certainly inevitable. If the political class doesn't get ahead of this problem, and it's steadfastly refused to do it so far, it keeps encouraging the problem, in fact. If it refuses to deal with the problem that we're experiencing, which effectively is mass migration, the setting aside of British culture, the setting aside of what it means to be British, the setting aside, therefore, of our country, if they refuse to get a grip of that problem, then it is inevitable that you will see more Southport kind of riots. You will see more Southampton riots. You will see more of what happened in Belfast. It is inevitable. And there is no point the government then pointing the finger at these people, perfectly law-abiding people otherwise, and saying, classing them as far right, castigating them, and then vilifying them for expressing their absolute exasperation at the state of the country. Their families are threatened. People are being killed by people who shouldn't be in this country. Women and children are being raped by people who shouldn't be in this country. And it may be offensive for people to listen to the language that I'm using at the moment at 8 a.m. on a Saturday morning. But that is what is happening in the United Kingdom, perpetrated by people who shouldn't be in this country. So there's no point looking at the protesters and saying, you shouldn't be protesting, you shouldn't be getting angry, rage is not justified. It is inevitable. It is the natural human response to abuse, if that abuse is leveled again and again and again. And I know there's an anti-racism protest or march or whatever taking place in Belfast. Let's be very clear about what that march means. The anti-racism march in Belfast today is effectively sending a message that mass migration is fine, that not having borders is fine, that we should take in millions of people from antithetical cultures, some of them barbarians, into the bosom of the United Kingdom, and we should allow them to set aside our own people. We should allow them to abuse our own people. That's what that anti-racism march effectively amounts to.
Yet the word racism has lost all of its power just through overuse, right? It's no longer the magic spell that you can cast on somebody and shroud their mind with confusion and fear. They have to look down at their feet and, beg forgiveness. Oh, I don't want to be the thing. It doesn't mean anything anymore. In fact, it means the opposite of what they're saying, right? This is one thing the left has done. It is redefined words, like words like gender, hate, racism, into just these weird abstractions that they can just apply to in literally any situation where they're losing the argument. Right? Completely lost all of its power. It's obvious at this point as well that multiculturalism is just a suicide pact. The only way you can do immigration, and it's obvious at this point, is slowly and with a focus on integration, melting pot. right? And it's also obvious at this point that there are cultures that are totally resistant to integration. So you just have to say no. If we want to have a nice liberal democracy, we can't have that because it will never integrate. And it will always look to increase its own power and displace the power that already exists, right? Which we like free speech, that sort of thing. Women not having to walk around with tablecloths on them, right? That sort of thing. I think most people rather like that. But anyway, let's let him finish here.
And we should denounce that anti-racism march. Of course I denounce violence. Of course I denounce violence. No one wants violence. I want a peaceful solution to the country's problems. But it becomes more and more difficult to deliver a peaceful solution the longer the government doesn't get a grip of the problem.
Yeah, the thing is that the solution to the problem is obvious, right? The cause of the social ills, and to a large extent, economic ills. Again, you can't have a welfare state and open borders, just mass immigration. You just can't. The whole thing will collapse. The only solution is stop immigration immediately, right? And then start to reverse it. No two ways about it. You just simply have to do that. I mean, these are things that nobody voted for or consented to in the first place. These are just things that governments just decided they were going to decide for everybody. They didn't, how many political parties have campaigned on flooding the country, whatever country, with people from the third world who are going to be, at least 60% dependent on welfare, dependent on taxpayers? Nobody's ever campaigned on that, right? So you have to stop immigration immediately, and then you have to reverse it to some extent, probably a large extent. Look, Sweden's already trying to do that. Sweden is already trying to find ways to remigrate the immigrants that have gone to Sweden because they've realized they can't have the quality of life they had before and all these people who are not integrating and not contributing. So, and it's just obvious. Is it hard? Does it sound progressive? No. Does it sound left-wing? Not at all. It just sounds like an actual solution. This is actually just pragmatism. If you want to keep your society, if you want to keep your wealth, if you want to live in a wealthy society, forget about your culture and everything. Do you want, in Canada, do you want to keep your universal health care? Or do you want to, in Canada, do you want to keep your universal health care? But more than that, do you want it to be like it used to be, where you didn't have to wait a year, 2 years to have anything done? When you didn't have, 20-hour waits in the emergency room? You can't have the mass migration and have that too. You just can't. All right. So I think that's enough for the UK, isn't it? All right. So let's go back to the chat. What's going on with you guys? Let's see. Ray, how you doing? Good to see you. Watching the UFC, have you on in the background. Thanks for the news and teachers and sports tutorials. Yeah, I figured there might not be as many people watching tonight because I completely forgot about it, the UFC thing, And then I thought, damn, I kind of wanted to watch that too. But the show must go on. Let's see. No time to chat. Watch party for Ray. Thanks for stopping in, man. Let's see. Izzy says, we've been betrayed by our leaders. Yes. The sad thing in Canada is that liberal voters all think that the immigration problems have all been solved by Carney. They have no idea what's actually happening. 765,000 people this year. That ain't fixing it. Some marginal reductions. No, it needs to stop. It should have stopped completely And then there should have been a serious effort to get all of the people. We don't even know how many. Is it millions of people here on expired visas? How many of those people have applied to become refugees now? Total madness. Most Canadians have absolutely no idea what's actually happening. Izzy says the left believes in central control. Yes. And management. They believe in big brains knowing everything and only capable of good. The worst thing that happened to Western civilization is that when it was decided that everybody had to go to university, which was right around the time that the universities and the colleges really fully just became indoctrination centers, just totally politicized indoctrination centers. So it used to be the best and the brightest went off to get a degree. And then it became just literally anybody. And it became, the business model became customers always right, which means standards have to be lowered. And then all of a sudden there's all of these just fake, disciplines, all the critical race theory and gender this and critical that. All of these disciplines that aren't disciplines. They're not real. They're not. There's no real scholarship in them. It's just a bunch of crazy leftists making assertions. And then you just have to agree with the teacher. But you still get your degree, your psychology degree or whatever. And anybody can get one now. Literally anybody can get a degree now. Anybody can get a master's degree now. Right? It's, again, they're working off the customer's always right. And as long as you agree that everything is white people's fault, you're going to get your degree. As long as you just say what they expect you to say in the way they expect you to say it, you're fine. So you've got all these midwits walking around with these diplomas, all these midwits walking around with these pieces of paper that tell them that they're smart, and they're not. You've got a lot of people that are overestimating their intellectual capacity now because of this. And obviously they've gone through, and a midwit going through a indoctrination factory is not going to be aware that that's what's happening to them. They're going to get their piece of paper and say, I'm smart now. Let's see. Izzy says, come on, Richie, you're talking too much sense. That's not allowed anymore. I know. It's a shame. Damn shame. Deddy says, why is everything based on racism? These words are losing its meaning. Yes, they are losing their meaning. It's because there's no other argument. It's just an easy way to try and bully people into doing what you want. Let's see. Izzy says, your dedication to our entertainment is commendable. Well, thanks. Somebody finally said it. Ringus says, I didn't think the left has a brain. Well, they're taught not to think, right? So I've got a couple examples coming up in the show of exactly what I'm talking about. Grievance studies isn't education. Izzy says, yes, no, it's indoctrination. We've gone through, how many papers have we gone through, right? How many papers have we gone through where it's just literally word salads? It's just gibberish. And most of them are like, how many have we gone through that are lived experience, based on lived experience? It's totally meaningless. It's just navel gazing and a total and utter waste of money and human potential. All right, we did that. Let's go to Elon Musk. Now, the left just hates him forever. I don't really get it. He gave the left their precious electric cars, right? He's developing these microchips that let quadriplegics, control things with their mind, control a computer with their mind. I mean, that seems pretty. Eventually, they'll be exoskeletons and able to move around and stuff. It's incredible stuff. It's incredible. He's giving, these chips are also giving sight to the blind. Like, these are great things. He's developing SpaceX. His goal is to make human consciousness multiplanetary. Like, that's an extremely noble goal, is it not? One of the most noble goals, I will say. Like, these are all great things for humanity. Starlink. Like, just that alone, bringing the internet to remote places, to like, how many? Like 1 billion people who didn't have it before? That's a major improvement in quality of life, just for things like banking, for instance, right? All of these great things. But he supported Trump, and he ran Doge, which got all of those Civil War veterans off the Social Security rolls, right? They must stay, all those, 170-year-old people must stay on the rolls, or you're a fascist. It's so brain dead. It's so mindless. But here's Scott Jennings. This was posted by Eric Doherty here. But here's Scott Jennings tackling this problem that the left has with Elon Musk.
Listening to liberals count and spend Elon's money for him. This envy, jealousy, hatred of success. Why is it immoral? Why is it wrong for somebody in our system, our capitalist system, in the greatest nation on earth, to go out and build a company, build companies, build technologies, go into space, aim to go put a colony on Mars, give internet to half the world, all the things he's doing? Why is any of this wrong or bad? Why would we want to discourage entrepreneurship? Why would we want to discourage anybody building anything? That is the nature of it.
That's a fair question, because Elon Musk has also, I mean, he's getting super rich, but a lot of other people are getting rich too. At SpaceX, people who are associated
that's the wrong frame.
Yeah, about 4,000 SpaceX employees are becoming millionaires because of the stocks that Elon Musk gave them. The reason they hate him is because he's the opposite of communism. He's the opposite of socialism, right? He's creating enormous wealth for all of the people, the many, many thousands of people who work for him, for the United States. He's paid more taxes than any other living human being, right? That's not enough for them. He's the opposite of communism. He's the opposite of laziness and envy, right? He just works, and he just goes, and he has big dreams, and he pursues them to the benefit of everybody, right? Those blind people that are going to be able to see because of him, I'm sure they're going to appreciate his work. But let's continue.
And I think that Scott Jennings is wrong, and let me tell you why. Because they're liberals, the liberals that you are lambasting right now, no one is saying, and I'm not saying, I can't say no one, but I'm not saying that I'm mad at him for being innovative enough to create an IPO that creates wealth for him or many others. What I am saying, however, is that there has to be some nature of altruism. Being an American, right? I mean, if reading the statute of
some measure of altruism, he hasn't done enough. It's just no. This is envy. This is jealousy, right? And it's also him proving that their ideology sucks. Essentially, it's him. It's Elon Musk proving that their ideology sucks. Let's continue.
liberty. Like, there is a certain level of give me your poor.
Well, do you have
give
evidence?
Me your burden.
Wait, do you have evidence that Elon Musk is not altruistic? I mean, I don't know. I mean,
it's just anything. It doesn't matter.
Listening
right?
to liberals,
it's just it's just that he's the opposite of communist, and that's it. That's what it really comes down to. He's the opposite of their ideology, and he proves their ideology to be false. Let's take a look at this.
Already seen it. I think the great irony in what you just said is that this is the same person who took a hatchet to USAID. And the end result of what we're...
Again, here you go. Those Civil War veterans must stay on the rolls. They must, or else it's fascism. Oh, the level of stupidity. I mean, the level of contempt that he must have for his own audience is truly astounding. It's amazing that the people who follow him at some point don't just become disgusted by it. Just don't realize, wait a second, he thinks that we're idiots. Let's continue.
We're seeing is that there are thousands of women and children who have died because of the cuts. America has become weaker because we've received...
What is this? Is there any truth in that? Is there any truth in this whatsoever? Cutting waste and fraud caused thousands of women and children to die? I'm not buying that.
Seceded from the world order when it comes to our soft power, something that George W. Bush talked a great deal about. Elon Musk is a white supremacist who believes in things like
Oh, here you go. So there's the magic spell. Doesn't work anymore. Somebody needs to tell him. Doesn't work anymore. Maybe it works with his smooth-brained audience, but it doesn't, it doesn't have the same power it used to do. It's not that mass spell anymore, right? The spell is broken, my friend. It's broken. You can just rest it. That's for the true believers only.
Oh boy.
I wasn't even
Arthur's
finished the
here.
sentence.
You may need a lawyer when this is over, Bakari.
No, and then, can I finish the next sentence?
Honestly.
Who believes in things like the great replacement theory?
Honestly, Bakari.
So does Biden. Biden talked about it. Talked about how wonderful the changing demographics are. Again, they must think everybody is. I guess they just know that I'm sure they know you can't fool everybody all the time, but you can fool some of the people some of the time.
Yes.
What's wrong with what he said? It makes sense to me.
Wait a minute. Does Elon Musk not believe in the great replacement theory? Is it not a racist theory that's been debunked?
I just think
you've already seen it. I think the great irony in what you just.
It's all just so Orwellian, isn't it? So Orwellian. So Orwellian. I wonder, see, Scott Jennings should have asked him right there. He should have said, well, do you think it's a good thing that the demographics are changing in the United States? And should immigration policy be based on that? What would he say? He'd have to say, for his own audience, he'd have to say, yes, that's a good thing. He would have to say that. And some people might call that replacement, right? Wow. It's all just so Orwellian. Wow. But I guess they know there's a lot of stupid, uninformed people. So just go with it, I guess. All right, let's go back to the chat. Let's see. In fact, hold on a second. Let's see if we can find that Elon Musk clip. Or sorry, the Joe Biden clip. Just going to look quickly. I'm not going to spend a ton of time looking for it. Joe Biden. Hold on. Everybody start your PhD thesis. Sometimes it's easy to find stuff on X and sometimes it's not. Here we go. This didn't take too long. Let's take a look. What does Biden say here?
I would argue it's unlike any other large country in the world. So there's a second thing in that black box, an unrelenting stream of immigration.
Unrelenting stream of immigration, he says. Don't like the sounds of that.
Non-stop. Folks like me who were Caucasian of European descent, for the first time in 2017, will be in an absolute minority in the United States of America. Absolute minority. Fewer than 50% of the people in America from then and on will be white European stock. That's not a bad thing. That's a source of our strength.
How is anybody supposed to take that? That's the source of the unrelenting, nonstop immigration to make, to make white people in the United States a minority in the United States is a good thing and this not a bad thing and a source of your strength. Like, how is anybody supposed to read that? And yet you've got unbelievably, you've still got people like this saying conspiracy, debunked conspiracy theory. Well, Joe Biden ain't debunking it there, is he? It's absolutely incredibly Orwellian. It's just Ministry of Truth. All right. Let's go back to the chat. All right. Izzy says, great replacement. It's true. Yes, they openly talk about it, and then in the next sentence say it's debunked. It's bizarre. Trudeau survivors got a link. Jimmy Fallon audience cheers white replacement. Well, I think it's time for a link monkey. Okay. Let me see if I can get up Trudeau survivors link here. Hold on. All right. Let's see. All right, let's see.
Some more news. The results of the 2020 census just came out, and for the first time in American history, the number of white people went down.
So it looks like Jimmy Fallon isn't completely insane, because he was like, hold on, you're not supposed to clap about that. I'm sure he wasn't going to go on some sort of, I don't know, nativist rant or something. But, yeah. It's insane. Totally insane. Let's go here. The EU. So, hold on one second, actually. Hold on. So, here, Isaac posted this. Muslims across Europe are shocked following Sweden's historic and courageous decision. It will stop using the term Islamophobia, coined by the Muslim Brotherhood, deeming it a politically manipulated concept designed to silence criticism of Islam. Well, that sounds like some progress there, doesn't it? But not quite so much as you might think. Let's take a look here.
Sweden has banned the concept of Islamophobia in a victory for freedom of speech. Foreign Minister Maria Malmer branded the term problematic and said she was also pushing the EU and the UN to scrap it. Islamophobia has been criticised for clamping down on legitimate criticism of the religion. Swedish MEP Charlie Weimers said it has been exploited by the Muslim Brotherhood to promote their agenda. Sweden has
Yeah, before you celebrate, it's a little bit of a fake out, actually. So here from European Center for Law and Justice. Let's see. On May 1st, 2026, the Swedish government announced its intention to abandon the term Islamophobia, which is an irrational fear of Islam. So that doesn't seem so, like, you know, it doesn't seem so irrational to me, but anyway, and is now seeking to gradually eliminate this notion within the European Union and the United Nations. Quote, the concept of Islamophobia is problematic, declared Foreign Minister Maria Malmer Stenergaard. According to her, the word phobia refers to irrational individual fears rather than concrete acts of discrimination or violence. Above all, this notion risks being confused with the legitimate criticism of the Islamic religion. Now we get to the part where that just kind of undoes all of that. The Swedish government now favors the expressions anti-Muslim racism or anti-Muslim hatred. So I feel like this is going to be a distinction without a difference. And I think it's designed that way. I think this is something to pretend to the Swedish people that, you know, they know there's a problem without actually dealing with it. This evolution partly aligns with the position long defended by the European Center of Law and Justice. Human rights protect persons, not religions themselves. Everyone must be able to practice their religion freely without suffering violence or discrimination. But everyone must also be able to debate, criticize, caricature, or challenge a religion, including Islam, without risking prosecution for disguised blasphemy. But how much you want to bet anti-Muslim racism or anti-Muslim hatred, these terms that can be interpreted incredibly broadly, they just seem like stand-ins for so-called Islamophobia. It'll just be used the same way. I don't think anything will change with this. I don't think anything will change with this. By the way, this whole anti-Muslim hatred, this whole idea of hatred or even phobia, I mean, emotions? Really? making emotions illegal, like prosecuting emotions. This seems to be the most anti-human thing you can imagine, which is not it's not surprising why the left loves it, right? But utterly anti-human. I mean, this is demanding dominion over your own conscience. Like that's the most precious thing that you have, right? That's you have to be able to say 2 + 2 = 4, not 5. That's freedom. If you can't say that, you're not free. And it's things like this, like criminalizing hatred, that prevents people from saying true things. And why shouldn't you be allowed to hate? The left hates, right? They're just trying to, what they do is just legislate against things they don't like and then call them hate. The whole concept, though, of hate, prosecuting hate, is totally insane. The term anti-Muslim racism itself, however, also rests on a major ambiguity. For how does one define a Muslim? Does it refer to a believer practicing Islam, or to a person perceived as such because of their name, origin, or appearance? The whole thing should just be scrapped, because ideas should not be illegal. Ideas that you hold in your mind should not be illegal. Hate whatever. I find it totally dystopian. It's thought crime. Behind the words, the return of the crime of blasphemy. But fundamentally, Stockholm must go beyond this terminological battle. Changing the words wouldn't. Hold on a second.
I ain't got a good brain.
Let's restart. Changing the words will not alter the underlying dynamic consisting in making Islam legally and politically untouchable, something observable in several European countries and well within international institutions. This dynamic is particularly visible in the United Kingdom during, quote, Islamophobia Awareness Month. Labour MP Tahir Ali called in November 2024 on Prime Minister Keir Starmer to prohibit the profanation of religious texts and the prophets of the Abrahamic religions. Denmark has already taken steps with its Quran law, adopted in December 2023, which prohibits certain treatments deemed inappropriate towards sacred religious writings. It's a book. This is submission, is what it is. These developments are part of the direct continuation of the resolution adopted in July 2023 by the United Nations Human Rights Council, I think euphemistically named, explicitly condemning the desecration of the Holy Quran. That is not the government's place. That's submission is what that is. Presented as a measure to combat religious hatred in the context of Quran burnings in Sweden and Denmark, this logic in reality leads to the direct reintroduction of forms of blasphemy laws. Yes, blasphemy laws. Why should the West have to live by Islamic blasphemy laws? It doesn't. Why would the West want to do this to itself? The terminological debate is therefore far from insignificant. Behind these words, a genuine European and international institutional architecture dedicated to combating so-called Islamophobia is gradually being built with the aim of shielding Islam from criticism. Yes, so they're not going to use the word Islamophobia anymore. I'm good. But these words are just going to take its place. They will be used for the same thing: anti-Muslim racism, anti-Muslim hatred. Just the same thing. So, yeah, at first it sounds good. Maybe it's a step in the right direction. I don't know. I think it feels like more of a distraction. Elon Musk says this, Lexa, and Elon Musk speaks his mind. And I don't know why anybody would doubt this at this point. Let's take a look.
I mean, you're clearly seeing a massive increase in the number of attacks in Italy and broadly in Europe. And the media, the legacy media, downplays these attacks. But the attacks, the terrorism, the killing of innocent people is rising. Every week, there's more. And it's more and more. And eventually, I think we're going to see widespread slaughter in Europe. That is the trend.
Yes, they'll all turn into Lebanon. That's what'll happen, right? You'll see civil wars and all of them if they don't stop it now. And they gotta go now.
If you simply extrapolate the trend of what is the rate at which the terrorist attacks are occurring in Europe, and put those points, it's basically deadly attacks versus time on a graph, and extrapolate that graph, it leads to the slaughter of Europe.
Yes. Why wouldn't it? I mean, there's 1,600 years of this, right? There's 1,400 years of this, of history to go off of here, and things haven't really changed much. So there's not been like some reformation or something. There's no reason to doubt what he's saying. What he's describing is the most likely outcome. Just each country, European country, will just become Lebanon. That's it. All right. Oh, God. Terrifying stuff, isn't it? Terrifying stuff. All right. Let's get to the next one. All right. So, actually, let me go back to the chat just for another minute. Spambot, how you doing? Let's see. Spambot comes into the chat with, ugh. Hardest working man in the chat. Let's see. Trudeau says anti-Muslim racism. A Muslim is not a race. The phrase is nonsensical. Yes. Well, that's the thing, right? It's an ideology. Anybody can be a Muslim. Spambot says, I haven't been able to join a stream at the start. I have no idea. Worked 57.5 hours last week. I'm sure my boss will have words. Spambot likes to work a lot. He likes to work a lot. Nobody works more than my friend Spambot Fodder. He works the most. Beautiful hours, beautiful big hours, 57, 58 hours a week. Spambot works. I always say Spambot works the most out of anybody in the chat. That's as much Trump as I got for today, people. All right, let's move on. So here is super patriot Justin Trudeau, the man who was constantly accusing the loyal opposition in Canada of being Maple, MAGA, and influenced by dark, evil, American conservative evilness. There's Justin Trudeau. Now, Canada hosted a World Cup game. He's not at that. He's at the USA game. USA game. Now, there's nothing wrong with going to for a Canadian, going to a US game and cheering for the American team. I'll cheer for the American team. He's ex-prime minister, right? Accusing the Conservative Party, Pierre Poilievre in Canada, of being basically evil MAGA Republicans in Canada, Maple MAGA. And when he's got an opportunity to go to two games, one of them Canada game in Canada and one USA game, he goes to the USA game with his girlfriend, Katy Perry, who, by the way, I can't wait for the tell-all book from Katy Perry once she's finally, digested Justin Trudeau's dark triad narcissism. That's going to be entertaining. But she hasn't figured it out quite yet. Maybe it takes a decade, but eventually that'll be fun. So there he is, the Canada's, I guess Canada's biggest hypocrite of all time, I guess. It's really saying something, isn't it? Let's take a look here. There is cheering on the USA goal, but he told everybody, he very stupidly and recklessly told everybody to hate the United States. And they're bad, and Trump's bad, and blah, 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 and dark, scary, shadowy, far-right forces from the United States. There he is, huh? I guess he just has no shame, does he? I guess he just has no shame. Here he is having fun at Coachella. He's apparently hasn't spent any time in Canada since he left government. There they are at Coachella. Look at that. Again, I can't wait for the tell-all book. Can't wait. Here's Justin Trudeau while he was still in office. What did he have to say then? Let's see.
The latest example is that these MAGA conservatives voted against military aid for the people of Ukraine.
Yeah, good. Good, by the way. MAGA conservatives. What he's saying there is the United States is bad. And he kept telling us that. Kept telling us. He kept playing the Canadian people against the United States for his political gain. There he is. The hypocrite, well, former hypocrite in chief, Justin Trudeau. Let's see what Pierre Poilievre has to say about Trudeau. And it's not much. It's not much. This was posted by Mark Nixon, who does a great job, by the way, and go give him a follow. Let's take a look.
You might have seen that Justin Trudeau attended the first USA FIFA World Cup game on Friday. His girlfriend, Katy Perry, was performing. Of course, there was another FIFA game that day. Canada had its first game as well. What do you make of his decision to be stateside that day?
I don't really have anything. I try not to think about Mr. Trudeau any more than I have to, like most Canadians. All right.
That was perfect. That was perfect. I try not to think about him any more than I have to, like most Canadians. Yes. Perfect response. Perfect response. We could have had this guy as prime minister. Well, 2029 maybe. Maybe by some miracle we'll get to have an election earlier. Who knows? Spambot says, that was perfect. Yes. Yes. Spambot says he's probably afraid to come back to Canada. Trudeau, yeah. Yeah, I would. Yeah, I mean, he's not welcome here. And would be terrified to visit anywhere in Alberta without a massive security detail. Yeah. Yeah, he's the most hated man in the country. Even liberals don't like him anymore. Let's see. Spambot says, turd dough. Glad he's out of politics. He probably thinks he's going to make a comeback at some point. Rosie says, True China is disgusting. Absolutely. Yes. Let's see. All right. Let's keep going. What are we, an hour and a half in? All right. We'll try and wrap it up. We'll try and wrap it up in half an hour. Then everybody can go watch the UFC. What do we have here? We already did that one. Did we do this one? Yeah, I think we did that one. Marco Rubio. I like Marco Rubio. I like the meme where he's just dressed in like he's the everyman who just does every job for Trump. Let's see. Neo posted this. Real Neo 101. Muslims went crazy after Secretary of State Marco Rubio said this. So did he say something true? Let's take a look.
Ultimately, all radical Islamic movements in the world identify the West writ large, but the United States in particular, as the greatest evil on the earth. And every chance to have the notion that somehow radical Islam would be comfortable with simply controlling some province in Iraq or Syria is just not borne out by history. Radical Islam has shown that their desire is not simply to occupy one part of the world and be happy with their own little caliphate. They want to expand. It's revolutionary in its nature. It seeks to expand and control more territories and more people. And radical Islam has designs openly on the West, on the United States, on Europe. We've seen that progress there as well. And they are prepared to conduct acts of terrorism. In the case of Iran, nation state actions. assassinations, murders, you name it, whatever it takes for them to gain their influence and ultimately their domination of different cultures and societies. That's a clear and imminent threat to the world and to the broader West, but especially to the United States, who they identify as the chief source of evil on the planet. The reason why they hate the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the leadership of the UAE, of Bahrain, is because they've allowed the United States to partner with them. That's why they hate them. They consider them infidels for it. They hate Israel. But they also hate America. And they hate anywhere in the world that we have influence. They seek to attack it, including here in the homeland. If you look at the domestic terrorists, at the attacks that have happened here domestically, the overwhelming majority of them have been inspired by radical Islamic viewpoints. And that includes the shooting in the Pulse nightclub in Orlando, Florida. That includes the Saudi pilot in Pensacola, my home state, 2 attacks.
Yeah, I think it's obvious at this point that when you're talking about Islam and radical Islam, you can't separate the two. You've got concentric circles, and one of those circles inside is the radical, quote unquote, radical Islam, or the Islamists, and then outside of that is just the Ummah, the global Islam, which totally tolerates it. It should be chilling to people to think, like, when have you ever seen, after a terrorist attack, especially a mass casualty attack, like, for instance, at that Ariana Grande concert where 20 young British girls got blown up in a suicide attack, can you think of any, like, peace march after something like that? Any march that would say, hey, look, we don't like this. We don't want this to happen. We're opposed to this. Did you see any of that after 9/11? Or since? I can't think of a single one that I've ever seen. That should be chilling to people. Like, that reveals just a fundamental truth there, does it not? That should be chilling. Like, wait a second. Like, maybe this whole radical thing and then the moderate, they're not so different from each other. Because it sure seems like the quote-unquote moderates seem to tolerate the radicals pretty well. And they don't ever seem to really speak out against them, do they? It's always immediately turning to the victim mentality. A plea, about their own victimhood. Every single time. Like, you see it every time. It's almost like a strategy. Wouldn't you say? There's something very disturbing, right? Something very chilling about it. All right. But Marco Rubio is
radical.
Donald Trump did a much better job in his appointments and his appointees than he did in his first term. Tulsi Gabbard's been great. I think Elon Musk did a great job with Doge. Hundreds of billions of dollars of fraud and waste removed. As much as the left wanted those Civil War veterans to remain on the rolls, they must remain on the rolls, or else you're a fascist. Marco Rubio has been fantastic. You can think of RFK Jr. as well. But Marco Rubio has really been impressive, extremely impressive, and very articulate, very forthright, and ultimately very MAGA, but just in a totally different delivery from Trump's. And it really works. All right. Like, he exudes competence, does he not? What do we have here? All right. So and just for fun, here's him saying, I don't care what the UN thinks. Just for that alone. Oh.
No, you're wrong in your question. Number one, Venezuela is a major source. And the reason why is the following. And I've seen a lot of this reporting, and it's fake reporting, and I'll tell you why. It says that somehow Venezuela is not involved in the drug trade because the UN says they're not involved in the drug trade. I don't care what the UN says. The UN doesn't know what they're talking about. Maduro.
Just for that, I don't care what the UN says. Make him president at some point. He's earned the presidency at some point just from that alone. All right. Let's move on. Here's Donald Trump. Trump supporter posted this, unsurprisingly. President Trump is saying, well, President Trump could have had a much easier life without becoming president. Nobody would have been trying to kill him. Nobody would have been trying to use legal warfare on him, insane legal warfare on him, or lawfare. Nobody would have been using lawfare against him to try and bankrupt him, to try and literally put him in prison. All kinds of just absurd cases. He could have had a much easier life. He could have been wealthier than he is now. At this point, I think you've seen such not only physical courage, like at Butler, with the standing up and pumping his fist, fight, fight, fight. For all he knew, somebody else could have been taking aim at him, right? He almost died right before that. And then to not be cowed. Now, I mean, it was obvious what was happening with the lawsuits. It was, if you don't stop, we're not going to stop. If you stop, this all goes away. And he didn't. I don't think he's in this just for his ego. I don't think he's in it for his, wealth. Obviously not, right? I think he really believes it. I think he's doing it because he thinks it's genuinely important. But let's hear what he has to say about money here.
If you're rich, it doesn't matter. I'm doing this for the country. I'm doing it for the people. I don't know if you know it, George Washington. He ran his business simultaneously while he was president. Many other presidents, there weren't too many really rich presidents, but there were a few. They ran their business. Hey, Obama made a deal for a book. Is that running a business? I'm sure he didn't even discuss it while he was president. He has a deal with Netflix. When did they start talking about that? That's only, a couple of examples. But other presidents, if you look, other presidents were wealthy, not huge wealth. George Washington was actually considered a very, very rich man at the time. But they ran their businesses. George Washington, they say, had two desks. He had a presidential desk and a business desk. I don't think you people with this phony emoluments clause, and by the way, I would say that it's cost me anywhere from $2 to $5 billion to be president. And that's okay. Between what I lose and what I could have made, I would have made a fortune. If I just ran my business, I was doing it really well. I have a great business. I have the best properties. But between what I lose and, in all fairness, some properties, Doral an example. Doral was setting records when I bought it because I owned it for a period of time. Setting records. There was nothing like it. It was making a fortune. And then what happened? I announced I'm going to run for office, right? And all of a sudden, I say, we got to build a wall, we got to have borders, we got to have this, we got to have that. All of a sudden, some people didn't like it. They thought the rhetoric was too tough. And it went from doing great to doing fine. It does very nicely now. It's actually coming back, I understand, very strongly. But Doral was setting records. And I knew this would happen. Most of the stuff that I have, because now instead of having 100% of the market that loves you and they love your brand and it's luxury and it's great, now you have 50% of the market. That's called politics. I fully understood that. So it's cost me between $2 billion and $5 billion. And if I had it to do again, I'd do it in an instant. Because who cares? If you can afford it, what difference does it make? If I had this to do again, because I'm making a big difference for the country. The country is stronger now than it's been in many years, maybe ever. Our military is rebuilt. Our economy is hitting records. As I said, best unemployment numbers, best employment numbers. We're strong. We're bringing our soldiers back home from the endless wars. We're doing great. So whether I lost $2 billion, $5 billion, more or less, doesn't make any difference to me. I don't care. If you're rich, it doesn't matter. I'm doing this for the country. I'm doing it for the people that show up. I haven't had an empty seat at a rally. I always say, where's the rally? It's in a certain place. Okay, just get the biggest arena. I go into these massive basketball arenas like in Dallas where the Mavericks play and fill it up and set a record. I've set a record almost every place I've been because we just need a little small stage. We don't need basketball courts, ice hockey courts. And I take less than musicians because they have bands. I don't have band. I set the world record for somebody without a guitar, okay? I don't have bands, right? So that's the story. And those people are the poll. And I've had great polls. I've had my best polls now. I think it's because people think that it's terrible what they're doing. Pelosi Shifty Schiff, Schumer. These people are trying to destroy the country. It's a very bad thing what they're doing. The President of the United States should be allowed to run the country, not have to focus on this kind of crap, while at the same time doing a great job on Syria and Turkey and all of the other things that we're doing. North Korea, okay, maybe someday, but I'll tell you what, if somebody else became president with that same mindset that they had, you'd right now be in a big war with North Korea. You don't hear too much about it. Could happen. Could happen. I don't know. I always say, who knows? It's deals. Who knows? But in the meantime, North Korea's.
So I think this was from a while ago, but it doesn't really matter, right? Omnivos, how you doing, Omnivos? Says, I think Trump is all about his legacy. He wants to be remembered as a great man. Yeah, but to be remembered as a great man, you got to do great things, right? And I think that I think what Trump will be remembered for is, I think what Trump will be remembered for is really the big stuff, is the big idea stuff, right? So obviously shutting down the border is the most important thing he's done, and that set an example for people in other Western countries that, yes, you can do that. You can just shut it down, right? But above that, it's restoring belief and confidence in just the idea of the United States and Western civilization as a whole, right? You don't need to apologize. You shouldn't apologize. You should celebrate it because it is the best. It's the pinnacle of human well-being in all of human history, and it ain't even close. It's unimaginably good compared to 100 years ago. Right? That's really what he'll be remembered for, I think. I mean, if the United States really has kind of turned the corner on managed decline and suicidal empathy, right? And communism, right? That's what it'll be remembered for restoring the United States' confidence in itself and its belief in its own value. Just the idea of it, right? That's the big picture stuff. Omnivos says America is destroying itself from within. That's every Western country, right? In the States, though, with the re-election of Trump, that was a step in the right direction, obviously. I mean, look, if Kamala Harris had won, they would have had another 20 million people in over 4 years. Flooding across the border. They would have been naturalizing millions and millions of people and just creating a permanent one-party state. So it was crucial for Trump to win. And it's an example to the rest of the world. You don't have to accept what the left is demanding. You don't have to accept it. Like, you don't have to accept managed decline. You don't have to accept decline. It's just, will the rest of the Western world follow the example? That's the question. Canada, we didn't. And we're experiencing continuing decline because of it. Izzy says, the left doesn't know any of this, but wouldn't believe it anyway. Yeah, they think he is enriching himself. I know. Let's see. Denny says, Trump does more for his country than our government. Well, he's actually proud of it, right? Like, you have the fake patriotism, the fake elbows up patriotism of the Liberal Party in Canada, where it's just you're living in the schizo land because for 1 second it's ongoing genocide happening in Canada, which is obviously totally absurd. Post-national state, not even really a state at all, right? No core identity. We're just whatever some guy shows up 5 minutes from now is, right? And then all of a sudden it's elbows up and Canada proud and blah, 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 blah. Well, you can't really have it both ways, or you shouldn't be able to have it both ways, right? What is it? Are we this permanent, infinite genocide state, or are we elbows up Canada proud? This is, if that's the sort of thing you're seeing, you're being manipulated. And it should be obvious to you, right? It's all just madness, is it not? Ranting, raving madness. Let's see. All right. Let me take a look at the ad. Should I do an ad read? Is it worth it for me? Nope. Nope, it is not. All right, let's move on. Do we have another? Oh, here we go. Check this out. Western Lensman posted this. If you want to see the kind of, if you want to see the cesspool in the mind of the average mainstream media, if you want to see the cesspool, the moral confusion inside the mind of the typical mainstream media journalist, quote unquote journalist, well, here's Jim Acosta for you. Revealing just a little bit too much, actually, more than any of us would want to know. After live streaming all day and night to see Trump's name being removed from the Kennedy Center building, Jim Acosta exclaims, well, we'll have to watch it to find out. But I guess since he lost his job at CNN, I think he's really, really missing the spotlight. Maybe he sees this sort of thing as an audition to get onto MS Now. I don't know. Let's take a look. It's the Jim Acosta Show.
But this is a giant waste of time, and it's a sign of what a petulant man-child he can be. But as we've been saying all night long, and all day long for that matter, this is very much like watching the Berlin Wall coming down.
Did somebody say petulant man-child? Did somebody say that? Oh, the irony.
It is a sign that mankind, that humankind can stand up against tyranny. But this is a giant waste of time, and it's
mankind can stand up against tyranny. Oh my good Lord. It's a sign that humankind can stand up against tyranny. The greatest tyrant in history, Donald Trump, the orange tyrant. Good Lord. Holy hell, just absolutely incredible journalisming. Western Lensman, this is just, I think that after they get, they lose their kind of corporate post, they lose their minds a bit. Same thing happened with Don Lemon. Right? Is it just that they're desperately trying to get the attention of, I guess, MS Now? Is that it? I mean, it's so deranged. Tyranny, he says. Tyranny. What tyranny? Like, what's the tyranny versus Obama or Biden? I mean, like, Biden literally tried to put his main political opponent, Donald Trump, into prison. Like, that seems like kind of Banana Republic tyranny, does it not? Like, what does Trump do? Trump, he tries to push legislation. He makes executive orders. Everything gets challenged, goes to court. They usually lose in the lower court. And then it goes up to the higher court and they win. And isn't that like the checks and balances and all of that? Where's the tyranny exactly in that? Is it because he shut down the southern border? Is that the tyranny there? Is it because he ordered ICE to actually enforce immigration law, the laws on the books, the same laws that were on the books under Biden, who just didn't want to use them, or Obama? Was it tyranny when Obama was deporting people? He's deported more than Trump has so far. Was that tyranny? What did he say again? Hold on.
Waste of time, and it's a sign of what a petulant man-child he can be.
Petulant man-child, Jim Acosta. Petulant man-child. Do these people have mirrors in their houses? I suspect that they don't. What do people say underneath here? Let's see. Needs a mental health intervention. Yeah. Acosta really out there turning nameplate removal into a geopolitical event. LOL. Decades of communist oppression versus a sign on a building. The similarities are striking. Striking. Let's see. Basically the same thing, Jim Acosta. Yeah, there's the Berlin Wall. Exactly the same thing. Yeah. The Berlin Wall coming down. Exactly the same thing. How stupid are these people? He seems to be earnest. I mean, it seems like he really believes this stuff. Shocking. It's shocking that somebody like this ever had any power to influence anybody. Amazing. I'm sure the Jim Acosta show is doing great. Is doing great, by the way. All right. All right. So that's that. Let's go back to the chat for a second. Anybody watching on YouTube, please go and subscribe to the second channel, Radio Baloney News. This is where all the clip videos go now. If you want those, you've got to go to the second channel, Radio Baloney News. The algorithm does not want you to subscribe to that channel. It's about 9 months old now. The algorithm does not want you to subscribe to it. It fears how powerful we can become if we join our forces by you subscribing to the channel. Don't let the gatekeepers win. All right. Hour 55. What? We're an hour and 55 in? We must be losing our minds. Omnivore says Acosta and Lemon don't care about the country. They just want to stay rich and be influential. Yeah, and also maybe they're just deranged, too. But maybe it's just all the above. Let's see. Let's see. Radio streamer, how you doing? Radio streamer says, I'm just here to hate commies and launch anti-commie gum. My ass-kicking gum from a t-shirt cannon to onlookers in chat. Sadly, I can't stay long, but the like button makes commies cry. So worth it. In these troubled times, can you afford not to get the free good karma, the Radio Baloney good karma that you get simply by liking the stream? In these troubled times, we even take the chance. There's a guy I heard who watched the whole stream, loved it, didn't hit the like button. The next day, he got adult onset spina bifida. Terrible story. All right. Now, what are we talking about? Let's see. Rosie says, got commie hate in abundance. You can feel good that you did your good deed before signing out. Absolutely, Rosie. Let's see. All right. Let's get to the next thing. Oh, so we did Trump, woke Canada. So just very quickly here, this is sort of stuff that is just so shameful. Dog Turd Canada posted this. So here's a soccer game, as I guess the Americans are playing. This is in Canada, and we're spending over $1 billion to host the World Cup with the sole aim of attracting more tourism. Then we boo our largest tourist market group. Canada is a country of retards. In the winter, we're frozen retards, and right now we're thawing retards. Let's take a look. So just not classy. Not classy. Brock Crocker says, we may be polite to your face, but Canadians aren't the nice people we pretend to be. I used to believe that in the past. Something changed with Justin Trudeau and his transformation of the Liberal Party into a radical progressive party. Something changed. He really changed the quality of half of Canadians. He gave them permission to be bitter and nasty and resentful and extremely judgmental. And this is what we're seeing. America is a great nation filled with wonderful neighbors and people. Yes. can confirm. How does a country that icons Wayne Gretzky sink to this? Legit mental health epidemic, liberal damage on steroids. Trump as their only platform while Canada declines and their grip tightens. Yeah. It's genuinely sad. It happened with Trudeau. Trudeau changed the character of the country. As he changed the character of the Liberal Party and transformed it into his own image, he transformed a lot of Canadians into his image as well. It's genuinely a sad thing. Boo. A level of stupidity. Ugh. What's going on here? Table Salt posted this. Canada in 2026 is insane. Well, you didn't have to tell me that. What's going on here? The Indians are fighting with the left-wing school establishment now. The very woke school establishment. Basically just communist, basically just race and identity and gender communists at this point. Let's take a look.
These are adult topics, okay? Shame on you. Run away. And you know,
dare say shame on me.
Why? You are
You
are abusing children. Is sexuality a child topic?
I feel like you're attacking
Okay.
me right now.
Okay.
So I would like you
Oh,
to
you
walk
came
away.
all the way to from there.
You know what? These are my loved children.
Yeah, that's why you want
Right.
to confuse them that they are
I
they're
wanna
in the
make
wrong
sure their
body.
parents- I wanna
Are you
make
the
sure
one?
that
Are
their
you the one?
parents know that they're here. That's okay. I'm allowed.
Ugh, just the smugness and she's so infantile, right? That's the thing with the modern left, with the radical progressives. Everything is just so childish, right? Everything is just first order thinking. There's never, well, what next and what then? Everything is so childish and infantile. And in her mind, she's obviously a radical progressive, right? He's a part of a kind of, he's a junior member of humanity because he's not white, right? That's how progressives see other people. It's extremely racist. Everybody who's not white is a junior member of humanity to them, right? And she is the all-consuming mother that's there to protect them. And she's speaking to him like he's a child here, as you can see. The conservatives, people like myself, don't see anybody as a junior member of humanity, right? I see them as members in full, humans in full. And that's why you have expectations of them, because you just see them as people that are just as capable, right, of contributing to society as you are, say, or being ethical as you are. These people don't. She's talking to him the way she sees him, as if he's a child. A child in need of her moral guidance.
I mean, that's
Even outside of school hours. They're
no,
still
you are
my
not.
students.
No. Okay, why are you wearing rainbow clothes?
Because it was
You know
sports
what?
day. It
No.
was sports day, and I'm all the colors, and I am
No,
deeply
this is
proud of
rainbow
that.
propaganda. It's a globalist propaganda.
He says it's rainbow globalist propaganda. God damn it. He is so right. He is so right. I've been saying forever that the people that are coming in mass immigration in Canada, the people that have come over in our mass immigration push in Canada under the Liberals, are far more socially conservative than just regular Canadians. So the Canadians that were already here, far more socially conservative, right? It's only a matter of time till these two are at loggerheads here. Till there's a clash here, right? Till it becomes obvious. It's all swept under the rug by the media in Canada, of course, right? But obviously there's going to be a conflict at some point, and we're going to see it play out more and more, because I can tell you that guy and everybody he knows doesn't think that their child could possibly be born in the wrong body. She does. But when you see this attitude for them, you need to see it as a kind of contempt, right? That he is beneath her, right? He is in need of her moral guidance as white leftist, all-consuming mother.
To destroy children. Have a good day.
Good for him. Good for him. All right. Oh, here we go. Meanwhile, in Canada, RCMP officers tell members of the public that they have to leave the beach at precisely 21:06. Why? So what's that? That's 9:06? Why? Because that's the official time the sun sets, and Canadians apparently now have a curfew on beaches. Total state control. Didn't used to be like that. Let's take a look.
I have to get everyone out of here by 9:10, ma'am. Okay? That's it. Okay? You gotta go.
You're the very first officers I've seen here in 11 years that say, whoop, get the fuck out. Like, people watch the sunset, they take a photo 10 minutes after because the color of the sky.
That's time to go.
I hear your words. I'm just saying.
I'm not going to argue with you.
I hear your words. I'm asking you if they changed it today because this is the only time this is enforced the way that you're enforcing
Vancouver says sunset is the time of beach closing. Sunset today is 21:06.
Okay, we come.
It is 21:06. It's time to go. Have a good night, sir.
I heard your words. I'm just saying.
We're done here.
We're leaving.
I have to get everyone.
See, this is what it's like when your government is the all-consuming mother, right? That has to protect everybody from themselves, including from sunsets. Didn't used to be like this in Canada, right? Canadians used to be seen as kind of a rugged people that could survive watching a sunset on a beach. I'm not black-pilled. I think we can turn it around. I really do. But, you know, people have to wake up at some point, right? They have to wake up at some point. Brandon Gill. We like Brandon Gill. I find him quite funny, actually. It's kind of hilarious, this guy. Amy Meck posted this. Brandon Gill just went nuclear on Elon Omar. Well, what did he say?
More to do. But you know, whenever you come in as a freshman congressman, you get to meet a lot of new friends in Washington. And one of the friends that I got to meet is somebody who I serve on the House Budget Committee with. Somebody by the name of Elon Omar. And the other day, it was a couple months ago, whenever I first got to talk to her, and she came up to me after we had passed a bill out of the Budget Committee for reconciliation for President Trump's tax cuts, which have been incredible for this country. And she was a little angry at me. I guess I tweeted something along the lines of America would be better off if Ilhan Omar were deported. Do you guys agree? And she didn't like that. She comes up to me and she starts yelling at me. And she's saying all kinds of vulgar things, I mean, words that I will not repeat here. All kinds of curse words. It's a true story, and I was just standing there, just kind of taking it all in, and all I could think of was, man, do you kiss your brother with that mouth?
Yeah, that guy's pretty funny. I always enjoy his clips. But, you know, with Elon Omar, it seems fairly obvious. I mean, there seems to be a legitimate case that she committed immigration fraud with her brother by marrying her brother. And you know what real equality would be? The law gets applied equally to everybody, and she gets deported from the country that she so clearly hates, right? I don't see how that's not a win for everybody, right? That would be real equality right there, not equity. Not equity. No, equity is just communism, right? But equality would be law gets applied equally to everyone. She gets deported back to Somalia, where it sounds like she'd be a lot happier, quite frankly, because she sure seems to hate the United States. Maybe she's like Justin Trudeau, where she only pretends to hate the United States, but really she likes it. She wants to stay. Probably something like that, actually. That's probably more realistic. All right. Did we have anything else here? What was this? All right, let's move on. So we're on the last tab of the evening. Let's go back to the chat for a second, though. JDL, how you doing? Good to see you. Everybody press the like button for JDL. JDL usually reminds everyone to press the like button. Get your free good karma, everyone. Press the like button in JDL's honor. Radio Streamer says, I think I speak for Canadians, even as an American. That Indian guy can stay. Yes, I agree. He can stay. The one who was having it out with the woke teacher, 100%. That guy's all right. Let's see. Let's see. Izzy says that he's black-pilled, and he feels violated every time they bend him over and insert the next black pill. Well, they're trying to black pill me hard, but I clench, and they can't get it in. They can't get it in. I clench really hard. I do squats and exercises and stuff to make sure I can clench, so they can't squeeze that black pill in there. Let's see. All right. Well, it looks like we're losing Radio Streamer. Hate commies in his stead. We will. We promise that we'll do that. We will honor you, Radio Streamer, by hating commies in your stead. Let's see. Trudeau Survivor says, which beaches in Vancouver have a curfew based on sunset? That's new to me. I don't know. Was that in Vancouver? I'm not sure. Probably in Vancouver. Let's see. We got NDP government, so let's see. All right. JDL says, hit the like button, everybody. Honor JDL by hitting the like button. Well, Omniverse says something very controversial. Hold on a second. This is the point in the stream where we have to cut off the YouTube part. Well, Omniverse is over on YouTube, though, so, okay, we'll read this. He says, I would not even care if SEAL Team 6 snatched Omar out of her bed at night, strapped a parachute to her back, and tossed her out of an Apache over Somalia. That's controversial. That's a controversial. I hope that's not hate. I really hope that's not hate, Omnivas. Really hope so. But we have to cut off. We have to, and by the way, but we have to unfortunately cut off the YouTube part of this. The YouTube part of the stream because of the broken copyright system over there. So usually this last tab of the evening, we've got some stuff that the broken copyright system on YouTube will have problems with, and it's a bunch of stuff I have to deal with afterwards on the back end, and so I just don't want to deal with it anymore. So we cut off the stream at this point, and we continue on Rumble, on X, and on Locals, though. So if you want to continue for the rest, we'll probably be going another half hour or so. If you want to join us for the rest, join us over on X, Locals, or Rumble. And otherwise, hopefully we'll see you tomorrow for the premium stream on Rumble. Members only. And very exclusive, very exclusive. So otherwise, that's 6 o'clock tomorrow. And otherwise, have a great, what is it, Sunday? Yeah, have a great start to your week tomorrow. Otherwise, good night, YouTube. All right, there we go. So Stalin.